It said we were live. It says on air. I'm checking the YouTube right now. We should be in the right place. It should be working. Oh, there we are. Back on the SBR YouTube. I apologize for last week, but we are back in the right place for our multi-class endurance professional division racing championship we've got going here at Interlagos. It's the second round. Thanks everyone for joining with us here as we're going to see both the LMP1s and the Group 3 cars racing side by side in different classes, obviously, here at Interlagos today. Interlagos for me is honestly probably one of my favorite tracks. A couple of really good straights followed by some really good technical sections through the infield. Before the race started, I looked up the names of the corners and decided that wasn't going to work. Can't pronounce any of those, so we'll just be talking mostly the first chicane, the whole infield section, and then obviously we have the back straight right here that they're coming around on as we watch Hatterlad, kind of showing us the basics of Interlagos, a track in Brazil, historic track. I think Lewis Hamilton probably has a good fond memory here too. But yeah, it's a fantastic track. We're going to get to see a lot of fun racing. It's going to be interesting to see how these LMP1s deal with traffic if they catch them at any part of Section 2. Section 1 shouldn't be too bad. You can take some different entries into the chicane to just get your run and get alongside them and get on by. But once you really come around after that second set of turns and into that full wavy infield section, there's not a whole lot of different angles. There's not a different lines you can get. Like, they're going to go from the far right side of the track all the way back to the full left side of the track. So it will be interesting to see if they try to get different lines or where they try to get aggressive versus not, because it is going to be up to the LMP1s to actually go through without causing any kind of incidents or anything like that. It's their job to overtake cleanly, not the other way around. The GR3s can pretty much hold their lines, and from my experience, you usually just wish the GR3s would hold their lines. The worst thing they can do is kind of start trying to guess where you're going to go, because it's easier for you to just react to them staying on the racing line than react to them maybe coming to it, maybe not coming to it. But it gets difficult at times, and I'm sure, like last week, we will run into a few incidents when they try to pass each other going through the infield, for sure. I mean, you're going to really hope to catch everybody on the straights, because you could get lucky and the few times you have to pass comes up on these real long straights, and if that happens, you could benefit with that for sure. But I am excited to see everyone get started. We're about to get qualifying going underway here in the next few minutes, so a few people are still getting practice in, but most everybody's resigned themselves over to the pits to just wait for the actual official qualifying to start. Most of the GR3s we have been watching have been putting down pretty consistent laps within each other. About 131s, I think, is what I was seeing most everybody run. So I'm expecting it to be pretty tight again in the GR3s. The LMP1s, I didn't get to catch many of them running laps. Most that I saw were pretty consistent, but a lot of them have been waiting in the pits most of the time. So we'll get to see exactly how they do here in the next few minutes as we're getting ready to get underway. I do like the liveries we're seeing on everybody, as they do look quite nice, especially in the GR3s. I've tried to make ones for the LMPs. I'm not any good at it anyways, but they do get kind of tough where you can kind of do a lot more stuff, I feel like, on the GR3s. But, Thomas is looking really nice. Ooh, that's looking really really clean on H Racing Green. And I think he might be driving one of the only right-hand drive vehicles that I've seen. I've been jumping into the cockpit view. Not my favorite view every once in a while. It's a little limited, I feel like, in GT Sport, but also looking really nice. And it looks like we should be just about underway. Cripps Racing had a fantastic race last week. He was battling with Liam and I do not remember who the other person he was battling with, but they're battling for second pretty much the entire race. So I would expect to see the similar stuff from them as he continues to run some laps to get ready. I don't believe I've ever seen Groot run before, but it'll be exciting to watch him. It's always exciting to see anyone. But he's got his livery looking really nice as well. Anytime anyone's using multiple colors, I get jealous, because I pretty much just put it one color, orange, black, something like that. Slap a racing number on and go. But as you can see, we're going to be starting here in 1 minute, so I hope you guys are excited. This is going to be exciting qualifying. Qualifying always comes down to just the straight, whether you have slip or not, usually. I've always noticed that if you have a few people who get slipstream on a clean lap and a few people who never find slipstream on any laps, you'll notice like up to half a second difference between their laps, because if they can connect it without getting slowed down, you have two real long straights that you can use a lot of advantage. And once you're in the slipstream in GT Sport, we all know how hard it can pull you up to everybody. All right. Everyone's starting to pull off, so it looks like everyone knows we're about to get going. This section right here can actually be extremely technical. If you get too far out there on the AstroTurf, it causes your car to start to slide. Plus, if you're in traffic, everyone's going to be taking the apex away from you, so they'll have no problem just letting you run way out there on that AstroTurf. And these areas are always tough because you want to keep your speed up, but we'll really dive into it here on the first lap about all these different areas. It's the qualifiers here beginning in 2 seconds. Alright, let's jump on with one of the LMP1s right off the bat. They're going to put down the fastest lap, so we should see them get out ahead of everybody. Rotary won last week with a really good outing. He was getting chased down the whole week by Scold, or the whole race by Scold, so it's going to be interesting to see if he has a similar strat or if he has a similar pace here at Interlagos. So a good thing with the LMP1s at Interlagos is they do have a lot of area to recharge batteries and a bunch of different entries, so whether your car likes to recharge on just braking or any sort of under coasting as well, you do have opportunities for this entire infield to make sure you can get your battery back for the real long straight back onto the start-finish line. And this section can also get real tough on the LMPs because you want to keep your speed up so you can use that downforce, but there's such a slow corner that you just have to like almost break that downforce and try to regain it going into the next sections. So it's interesting to see who can keep their car from kind of sliding around, because once you lose downforce in one of these cars, you kind of lose the back end real fast. So Rotary's getting off to a really quick start, not really looking for anyone to try to group up with. Probably thinks he just has the pace. If he just gets clean and doesn't get slowed down by anyone, he can have a top or one of the faster times anyways. So coming into the first chicane, you want to brake as late as you can and really hold this left side as long as you can so that you can straighten up this as much as possible, because any lifting is lost time. A perfect chicane won't have you lift coming out of that exit at all, as we saw just the tiniest, maybe 10% lift there. So he's not going to lose almost any time, as we're going to late brake again, because you're going to end up double apexing and pushing it all the way out. And that is pretty much exactly how you want to do that, keeping the speed up again. This is a section where you really want to use your downforce, not much braking, trying to get on the accelerator as much as you can so that you can really keep that speed up, because then you're going to start to get into this real technical area where it's all about getting as hard onto those apexes as you can without unsettling your car, getting in the accelerator as early as you can, and you get to brake real late here to try to late apex, because this actually pulls you all the way back around, and you should be flat all the way into the final section where it'll be a light brake. Try to use the downforce to really pull you through this. Use the whole track if you can, and really try to get on the accelerator so you can get a fast speed going down here. I believe I was seeing something like 119s earlier, 119.1s I believe, so it's probably somewhere in the range he's shooting for on a first lap, is that 19-second range, which looks a little off. Ooh, just in it, so that's a decent start. Thomas is going to be coming around setting his first lap, looking just a bit slower than that, also in the 19s. John also in the 19s. Edwards jumping up into the low 19s. We're going to have super fast Bobby, mid-20s, so he's probably going to want another lap for sure. I'm sure he can go quicker than that. Liam's going to be what looks like the first of the GR3s. A 31 would be good. A high 30 would be great. I'm sure he's not upset about that being a first lap. Cripps coming around with a low 31, so that's solid. All these are solid times coming in behind Hatter Lad. Whoa, we had all sorts of little changes going on up here. What all did we miss? And then just, I don't even, we missed it all. But so, obviously as everyone came across, we got into an accident right there in the chicane. Liam still stayed fastest in the GR3s, but Group came in real close, within 2/10 of him. Followed really close by Hatter Lad, within a 10th. Cripps is then 2/10 back if it stayed correct. Sometimes going in the pit can set it off, so let's wait for them to come out of the pits to double check. But if not, we're talking about a 1,000th between them and a 100th in between Piper and Stambingo, so they all came in real tight on that first lap. Alright, let's jump back on. I kind of thought we might be getting some new tires, but it is only a 10-minute qualifying already, as Scold has not bettered his time. This is going to be trouble for Racing Green. Don't really know where he was supposed to go. We were this qualifying is a very grouped up qualifying. Typically you want to try to find draft with your own class, so that you can kind of follow people around, but since incidents started to happen, the track started to get backed up, so there is still time for people to get back around the track for another hot lap, so everyone kind of needs to get themselves resituated, reset, as Stambingo is probably not on a hot lap after what we saw. Neither is Piper, most likely. Spesh will, I mean, he has a decent 31.8. It's a tight lobby right here in the GR3s. I mean, I think that's about 1 second between first and last right there. Yep. So they're all needing to improve by tenths just to find anything that they can. As we'll watch with Liam here. His rotary sets a new faster lap. It's going to move him back up, which is where we kind of expect to see him. So 19.6 means he probably had a few of the tough ones right off the bat, but, you know, got it back in the zone. Top 3. Liam is currently on an out lap, so just about everyone, I might be bugged, but it seems like just about everyone's on an out lap except the group who got in the accident last lap. They have now come around to start their hot lap off. Coming to the real technical section, that's going to be really interesting if Piper can pull any kind of slipstream and use this for any kind of advantage, if they can stay on a nice lap here. You really want to cut this. Oh, he gets really good across there. That's going to be good for Piper and himself if they can keep it clean through this section of it, because it starts to get, from my point of view, a little bit easier as you come around to the back section. The end of this is pretty much just one late apex and then just one little kink before you get back into the full speed straight. So let's see what kind of time is. He's running one of his best times. Piper looks like he is inside that slipstream. Yeah, that is definitely within the distance he needs, so he's getting pulled by him, so it will make his lap as good or better than Stambingo's. It's going to be ooh, that is a really quick lap. You cannot complain about getting pulled to a 30.9. I'm not saying Piper didn't do everything he needed to keep that lap going, but it definitely helps to have someone running a hot lap right in front of you, as well as we see Stambingo not improve much, a 31.5, and I mean, that's almost exactly the difference that you can see between slipstream, is now Piper has gotten way up on him. It's going to be difficult to qualify with being right on someone. You can kind of get stuck where they're slowing you down if they start to miss anything. Kind of like that, where you just really can't do anything other than, like, you're trying to keep your pace up and there's just a car there that isn't going as quick as you anymore because you're right behind him. The dirty air can kind of mess with you a little bit, but we're getting ready to come around in everyone's final lap. So we've seen up here, Rotary has fallen down, and Thomas as well. Thomas is sitting in a, if they can get by these GR3s somehow, both of them are sitting in real good position. Thomas especially, to try to improve his time here, as we see him about 2/10 back on John, who's 4/10 back on Ooh, that's smart. Get way out there and try to get on the accelerator. Tricky, tricky. Hey, do whatever you can to get that time down. You're battling for pole. I may have caught it late, though. He may have run wide because he is right on a slipstream. And if you're right on a slipstream of someone, he may have had to bail out and re-come around. Absolutely. Ooh, Scold with a 148.6. That is quick. Ooh, super fast is going to improve up. We'll wait for everyone to go ahead and come across. Who's still on their final lap? We've got Liam on a final lap here, as it seems just about everybody else has gone ahead and said their time is good enough, or that they won't be able to finish the rest of their lap, which they'd be able to finish the rest of their lap, I believe, unless I saw the time on the right. So Liam is the last. He's already secured pole position, so he doesn't have to worry too much here. That's got to be a good feeling, coming around on your final lap, knowing that even if it goes better, which it is not, but is close, whew, that you're going to still be sitting on pole. So as we see him come across for the final lap, we've got Scold leading the way with 0.4 of a second, really hitting that final lap, followed by Racing Green, who has a 0.4 of a second lead on Original John, who we'll have to, I did not read the next one, so we will have to wait for the next one to get through the entire list. Yes, and the qualification got a little crazy, but most everyone seemed to get a decent time somewhere in there. As we see Rotary coming in 4th, Thomas 5th, Super Fast Bobby in 5th, Thomas in 5th, Super Fast Bobby in 6th, and that starts our LMP1s, followed by the GR3s. It's a rolling start, so Stambingo's gonna clearly fall back to his correct position, I'm assuming. Hey, you know, forgot, but no issue. Dodged everyone, fell back in. As we see them going around for their start, we've got Liam leading the front of the GR3s. Piper is going to be starting 2nd in the GR3s. Brute 89, 3rd. Hatterlad will be starting 4th in the GR3s. Stambingo 5th. Seacrips Racing 6th, and Spesh will be starting 7th in the GR3s. You will see them all swerving on the straights just to make sure their tires keep to speed, as we don't, the game does simulate the tire temperatures in some degree, so you will see them start to cool off as, whoa, Super Fast Bobby got that way wrong, or someone got into Super Fast Bobby as he spun off in the formation lap. So I'm assuming he gets to run back past the GR3 since everyone's slow to get back to his position, but it is gonna probably be up to him to make sure he can squeeze back through. I don't think he would have to auto fall to the back of the whole field. That would be pretty dangerous on the start of the race. So he's going to start making his way back there, or at least as much as he can. Coming up on the straight with how fast he is, he should be able to just zip by everybody. And, oh, it won't even be up the straight as he follows and slides on into his position. As they are starting to stack, weaving and stacking. Interesting. It seems like how you hit someone, but, you know, it's all good. As long as you don't, I guess. And they are coming around towards the start-finish line, so we are about to get the race underway. And the leader is off, and everybody else is. They start to separate between the LMP1s and the GR3s automatically. So far clean, a little contact, but nothing too crazy. Ooh, side-by-side Super Fast Bobby is not going to give up that position, as the GR3s are also a little bit of side-by-side. Oh, can't change any angles. Hold on, sorry about this. Alright, sorry about that. I couldn't actually change any camera angles for a second, as they are still battling 3 wide. And we see the LMP1s are still a close field, as well as Oh, Piper's going to go for the move. This is a tough place. Oh, he just gets it done fast and sticks it. Nice move. Oh, he's going to come back. Hatterlad isn't done quite yet. Oh, he's not going to be able to hold that. That's going to be a little too much. The LMPs are still real tight. I'll switch back over to them as we come around here going into the next chicane. Little contact. Is that going to help Groot out? As they are still completely lined up. Let's go watch the LMP1s for a second, as they shouldn't battle into that corner much. There should be down the straight, though, as Super Bobby looks like he's making the move on Rotaries. Rotaries not giving it up. They're going side by side into the chicane. This should be better for... Ooh, he gets it done right before. A little bit later on the brakes. Nice move from Super Fast Bobby, just more confident in it. As they are starting to single file just a little. The GR3s are still battling, trying to get up in there. As we see Hatterlad and Groot going side by side into the chicane. Oh, and they're 3 wide behind trying to battle through, as Stan Bingo isn't giving up any positions. It was Crips Racing. I thought I was on the wrong one. It was Crips Racing who was just being opportunistic and not giving up any position there. What a move from him. He wants to catch up to the lead pack, it seems. I'm sure Liam has no problem looking at his mirror and seeing all this battling in the GR3s, as Thomas is right on the, currently in the back of the field in the LMP1s, but right on Rotary, who is right on Fast Bobby. We got the American Original John. Little bit of gap between everyone. He has less pressure than anyone while still being under pressure. Green is on a fast lap here. He could be putting down the fastest lap of the race so far. He's on his soft tires. And I haven't even looked at their tires. I apologize. We should definitely look into how everyone's tires are doing, because some people could be on some flying mediums, as they do have to use only one set of softs. As Racing Green puts down the fastest lap right after Scold puts down his lap. We have soft tires on Original John, who is not keeping pace with him as much as he would probably like, but it's not falling off too much. He is getting caught up, though, so that becomes worrisome. As Super Fast Bobby is also starting on softs, followed right closely by Rotary. They are racing hard and clean. This is fun. And this is the way Interlagos works. You got to kind of find and pick and choose your battles. You're going to kind of line up, as they are all starting softs in the LMP1s, by the way. On the GR3s, Liam also makes sense. You start pole, you pretty much always start softs if they're a choice. And he has already gotten a 2-second lead on Piper, who also is running softs. Groot also on softs right behind, single file down, but it's going to be a consistency race as they are going both side by side. Ooh, Cripps wants to get up into the battle. That is another move for position. Getting his car alongside and just continuing to drive that Porsche around. And Porsche does quite well here. If you can keep up in the straights in the Porsche, it has a lot of advantages going through this infield section, as he is just climbing through that field. Ooh, Hatterlad was looking like he was wanting to battle back, but it gets tough here. You're gonna constantly get the door shut on you. So usually you kind of want to back out of that, I feel like. They just accidentally are going to shut the door because they're not going to come off their line. As Stan Bingo keeping it close with Special right behind him. Let's see. Green has this pulled all the way up. I wonder if he's going to end up using any of this infield to make a move. As how are they battling? It looks like they're also single file behind. It's going to be interesting because the LMP1s really suffer from dirty air. So it's going to be interesting to see how hard you can really push this infield versus how much he's going to have to try to like just kind of sit back and wait for any kind of mistakes. As you can kind of see, like every corner he's kind of just going a little bit wider, and it's probably not anything other than just how he's following through that air. As it's, you know, you got an hour and 20 to go. How much do you want to fight air versus just backing out and running your own laps? As you can even see those little differences separating through here. Now, Original John has a different issue. He doesn't have to follow anyone yet. He's got to worry about the people that are closing that gap on him. It's staying relatively consistent, but you really do want to make sure you're hitting your consistent laps, because that does not take long to close up. And on a track like this, like 0.2 of a second is probably separating having slip and not having slip, and as soon as they get your slip, it just changes everything. As you can just see that number coming down and down and down. That is a lot of pressure to keep that gap, that 10th up. As Super Fast Bobby looks like he just wants to grab right in that, because then you can just follow, like we were discussing with Green, through the infield section. If you can get the run right, you can just get on by. But if they have the same pace as you, it can get real tough, real fast. As Rotary's been probably sitting in that exact scenario for the last 6 laps, as Thomas is a little bit further back, but still holding on to the slip, so keeping on that lead group as everyone's right there. Liam is continuing to keep his gap at right about 2.5 seconds. I believe that is where it was last time we checked in on him, as most of Interlagos is going to lead to a little bit of everybody kind of sitting and slipping, following. Depending on where everyone's fuel is and where their strategy is on fuel, being able to follow someone for 4 or 5 laps and slip could be, you know, the difference in a whole pit stop for sometimes. You know, sometimes you run a race where you just got to fuel safe for about 4 or 5 laps and you can go 1 whole pit less. And over an hour and a half, if you can get slipped for 5 or 6 laps and just save on them, as long as you're not losing much time, it can work out pretty well, as the leaders of the LMP1s are starting to check out. We can see the gap on the mini-map going quite large, but Green is holding it extremely close. And he's probably content to just kind of sit where he is right now. His battery is at complete full, so he knows that he's doing as good or worse than Edwards is, but he does get the move done. He's going up side by side with them, as we're going to go into this camera because we can't see anything from that one. And he just gets it done early, stays defensive. Is Edwards going to be able to fight back with any kind of undercut? It's a tough area. Oh, he leaves him the... Oh, he left him the apex. I think he wanted to bait him to the outside if he wanted to keep battling. Ooh, you could almost see Edwards just eating up in that air, trying to keep that car sideways as he's trying to follow as tight as he can through here. This is going to shape up to a real battle here if they can keep this kind of pace going, as they are probably, even separating further. Now, that's impressive. If you can continue to separate while fighting back-to-back, that's not even fighting. That's almost letting people through. So if they're actually just going to keep the pace up, or you could have just been Edwards saying, yeah, if you're going to go for the move, you can keep it. I'll just sit behind you. He's not short-shifting, so it's not a fuel-saving draft. He is revving it all the way out, so it's definitely not for the fuel-saving. He is, well... He didn't rev 5th out all the way, but he isn't. It doesn't seem that he's using it. Oh, okay, so maybe he needs that acceleration in those few low ones, but now he can just sit back, save a little bit of fuel. He does have that little bitty gap on him, and just follow. Is he going to try? I think he got a little late on the brakes and gobbled up on Racing Green, or Green got on the brakes a little early, but we'll see Edwards be able to close that gap up using the slipstream. John still has a little bit of a gap. Rotary is... I apologize, Rotary, for missing your amazing battle you've been having. You've gone from, what was that, 6th all the way up to 4th so far, as it seems Thomas and Superfast Bobby are battling as well. So a little bit of people going through the field and going up and down, as we've seen. I think Superfast Bobby's been up to 3rd, down to 5th, trying not to go down to 6th. Is Tom? Oh, I think Thomas wanted to get that on the outside and backed it out. Oh, he's going to try. Yeah, I think he really wants that outside line. He's going... That makes sense, so you can get that inside line on the cutback. Are they going to... Oh, just put your nose in there? No, he's going to just go ahead and fall back. It's okay. He's not losing much time. It doesn't really matter who's in front right now, as long as you keep your actual driving pace up. And if you're losing time and they want to be in front of you, you can even just let them through. Oh, sorry about that. I saw the traffic coming up and I was trying to get over to Green as quick as I could, as they're going to try to continue this battle through traffic, through... Oh, as he does have to fall in. That's going to cost him a lot of time if he has to wait. Oh, they're both having to wait. He is so lucky that this battle is going side by side. Are they going to have any... This is just clean driving. Look at him trying to use everybody as slip and just getting by. That was quite impressive. John is going to have to deal with them in just a moment, but he gets to deal with them alone. They were doing that while, like, props out to Skull. That was keeping pace while through traffic. Had what looked like 2 cars end up separating him and them, and he actually kept that gap almost exactly the same, as they are coming up on more traffic. The goal here is just to make the same move Green makes. If he goes for a move around the outside, you go for a move around the outside. If he goes for the move on the inside, you go with him. Like, you just have to follow every move, and it's tough. That is quite impressive, as I think we've got the other one starting to catch up, and this is where you can start to see these gaps change. As, oh, John gets the brakes a little wrong and is wide off the track. Then Thomas is going to go ahead and move on through. As, oh, John is continuing to have trouble getting back on the track, but that is all right. He's got his head down. He's gone. honestly not too bad. You know, getting slide there, coming back on the track, didn't lose much time in comparison, so that's quite good. Only 2 seconds back from super fast. Quite impressive as they are continuing to have to run into him. And Thomas is catching them pretty good here. You want to catch them on this straight. You don't want to catch them when they're side by side for sure. Super fast is... Oh, that is going to be tough. I mean, just use that downforce. He got it through. Very nice. Late on the brakes. Sent it 3 wide. That's risky, but no contact and got through clean. His original John, as you can see the mission he's on, taking that around the outside, flashing and going. And as we see, Liam's gap to Piper is not changing much. As ooh, Piper and Thomas. Oh, that was almost terrible. Thomas almost got pinned into a wall. He had to back out just out of worry, and oh, a little late on the brakes is Thomas there, so he's going to go way wide, letting... Oh, was that Rotary or Super Fast Bobby? Super Fast Bobby closed that gap right up, and I think most of that probably just cost Piper time. It did, as Groot is keeping it about a 4-second gap there. We see Stan Bingo and Crips Racing and Groot in an absolute battle. Was that for 3rd in class? So this is definitely shaping up right here to be a battle for that podium position at least. Piper's trying to keep gap for the win still, as he's trying to make that 2nd easy. Groot's just wanted to hold on to 3rd, but he's got everybody hunting him down. It looks like this lap's gone less eventful after they've gotten through the traffic, as Green is still managing just outside of Slipstream. I think, yep, just outside of it, as we see that gap going up instead of down. So Slipstream's going to pull it about right at 7.75. But ooh, Edwards getting it. That is, like I was saying when they were doing qualifying, that is a dangerous area. That tank slap, yeah, it's not hard to catch every time, but if you do it like 4, 5, 6 times in a race, like one of them's probably going to catch. Your tire's going to be a little bit more worn, as we see some of the softs like Super Fast Bobby, who has either like really been using his softs, versus Thomas, who's been able to keep them a little bit cleaner. As the gaps are starting to stabilize, which is a good sign for everyone, as everyone stopped their battling a little bit. As I say that, Stan Bingo and Crips are just front to tail right now, battling through the infield section right here. The intro to the infield section is interesting because you can start trying to get people to miss apexes, or get on their inside, make them see you make dives and stuff, but you're never going for them. It can be quite interesting to see. Fake like you're going to go for it, just because if they start to leave an apex open, even though you don't take it from them, it's all about that rhythm. You lose that rhythm as, whoa, we see 3 wide, as it looks like Piper made a mistake going, which is the most likely corner to make a mistake going into, and that is not what he wanted. So, you know, time to sit down and get that recovery going. And I am sure if you were in Liam's shoes, as he saw the gap just skyrocket from just a consistent 2.5 seconds to 8 seconds, that feels good. Just no mistakes now for an hour and 13 minutes. Quite easy, you know, very easy. No, absolutely difficult. The hardest thing in the world is just to drive a clean race without any pressure when you know another class is going to come by every time. You're going to be nervous. What is someone else going to do? Because you just have to focus on your race. A super fast and, what is that, original John in an absolute battle. No one wanting the back of the field right now. Ooh. Ooh, John's getting it wide. Yeah, sometimes you get wide, you think you can get that little extra acceleration. Maybe I get on the throttle a little bit, you know, a little bit earlier, and it just doesn't usually seem to work out. But he does have nicer tires, so it's going to be interesting through these fast corners like this. He should be able to start gobbling that lead up, and he might be able to get it done right here. As he's going to follow him down this back straight. I wonder, he's got the distance. It's only 3/10, unless he didn't get a good exit. It doesn't look like it. That gap is just staying pretty much the exact same. His Williams gap's that's staying the same, but it's just a lot larger now. And Groot's got a little bit less pressure than he had a minute ago, so he can start trying to work on that 8-second gap. And with over an hour to go, 8 seconds is nothing to worry about. You know, everybody makes mistakes. You just got to start getting consistent. As he can run 135s, he's consistent in those 131s, and it looks like those softs are really starting to fall into that 132 range for just about everyone. up here at the top, as we're even seeing some 133s. I mean, Hatterlad has had a couple of bad laps, but he has still got some real clean tires right now, and he is still running low 131, so we'll keep an eye on him. He might be able to battle back through this field. He has got some pace looking good compared to the people in front of him, which means he's seeing that time come down fast, and when you see times come down fast, it just, you start hunting. That's a lot of fun. Times come down by tenths, like every corner you go through, it starts getting a lot of fun to chase people down. We're starting to see most of these LMP1s separate, except for the back right here with Superfast and the original John. They're going to have to start focusing on their own personal strategies and races, as every car has a little bit different fuel economy. Every car has a much different battery economy as we kind of shift through them. You can see some people are rocking absolutely full batteries, and pretty much everyone's able to get a full battery, it looks like. It looks like that infield section is working just well enough, and that their batteries aren't getting used, and the braking into that first chicane section is keeping everything charged up enough that they aren't having to worry too much about the charge of their batteries. Except for this backfield, they all have kind of found their own places on the track, and we'll keep an eye out right there on the front as we see Racing Green starting to catch up to the GR3s for another pass attempt, but he's still probably got a couple of laps before he does that. The GR3s also still relatively tight, it looks like. They might be battling into that first lap, as it looks just like. We do see Stam Bingo, Hatterlad, Crips Racing all here grouped up, still about as tight as anyone, as Piper has fallen back a little bit further, having a little bit of trouble, but you know, it's okay. Not every race goes perfect, and it takes a little bit to get that head down and really start hitting your brake marks again. But Hatterlad has now caught up to Stambingo, and so now with the pace he's been showing and the difference, like, look at the difference in their tires. Hatterlad, what are you doing? That is just absolutely impressive. If he can keep his pace up, ooh, I couldn't see. It looked like he may have just gotten through there cleanly, as he just aggressively said, like, you can't even, like, your car's sliding everywhere, you can't do it. I've got way too much grip for you to keep up with this BMW right now. And now he sets his sights on Cripps, who, like, once again, like, if he realizes how big of an advantage he has with these tires and how much everyone else is trying to, like, hold their speeds up as much as they can, he's gonna just fly through him as well, probably. That is gonna be tough, as he is right up on it with that gap closing. I'm sure he's going to go for this move into the chicane. As he, oh, not that one, tries to get it alongside. Oh, he gets his nose in there, and so now Cripps has to give him the inside. He got it there. And yeah, there's nothing he's going to be able to do about it. Hatterlad's basically on brand new softs here as he's just plowing through this field. Oh, a little late on the brakes, though, so that's going to hurt. Oh, that's a handful of contact. And Cripps is coming back at him. Flashing the lights, but he's battling. Oh, he got it. Oh, everyone's looking for different things. We've got them coming through traffic as well. I bet he's actually pretty... I bet Racing is really happy. Green's pumped right now that they were battling right there, because he kind of got them all over the place and slow, so he could just kind of pick his line and go. Oh, but now it has really become a mess. Ooh. I mean, this is why Hatterlad wanted to get this move done and get it over with, but missed that brake spot by just a little bit, and really trying to push his tires now to get through this, and I'm sure he's not wanting to waste his tires as much as he is. They are going to go 3 wide. Oh, I really thought we were going to see Stan Bingo throw his nose in there too. Oh, this is going to end up in tears. Oh, he's sliding sideways, Cripps. Oh, hey, that's how you drive, man. There you go. Yeah. Oh, Stan Bingo's just like, hey, I'm just here, guys. I want my own race. What are you guys doing? I wasn't doing anything. I haven't messed with anyone. You guys going everywhere. As they are continuing to, the Cripps isn't going to give the position of, this is not what Hatterlad wants. With that kind of tires, look how much he's burned his tires in this 2 laps. As he had for, what was that, 12 laps before, unless he went and grabbed tires or something. He has really had to use them here as we start to see another LMP1, as that is Rotary. I just need to watch Rotary from, oh, he caught him right as they went into the pits. What happened there? Oh, damage? No damage. It looked like there was a wreck there. We caught that in a weird spot. That's interesting. Rotary came in with 44% fuel there, as we're going to go on board with Edwards or Scold as he is making his way through, as we see Thomas just in front of him. So I apologize to the LMP1s. Either pits started happening and I missed them, and that's why everybody is everywhere. As we see Scold, still pretty good fuel, so I'm thinking that is most likely we've had a couple of people come into the pits as we see Stan Bingo and Crips Racing also come in for their first stop, as Crips Racing does not fuel back to full. And Stan Bingo falls just short of full, so I'm sure he just knows what percentage he doesn't need. As we have Piper still sitting here running consistent up into 10th, which is realistically 4th. Hatterlad's still sitting good, getting low on fuel though, so his pit window's got to be getting close. As super fast Bobby is only 2 seconds back of Rotary, who has caught up to Original John, who are actually right now battling through the traffic. Oh, this is, yeah, when you're battling, you just got to try to keep that same line like he does. Tough to fall back to the GR3 from where I am, so we'll just stick right here. Interesting. Yeah, so he's just going to fall in right there. Just kind of keep it going as he goes through traffic. He was able to follow him through, so no need to go for any moves yet. As super fast Bobby also catching traffic in a straight, and it looks more dangerous, I think, than it usually is as you're like whipping it outside and stuff, but usually catching someone on a straight means there is not much of a chance that you should. Oh, what a move right there. That was Rotary and Original John, who we are going to stick with, as they are going left and right and center. I do not want to be the GR3s as they come through. They are trying everywhere to get by, no one wanting to lose any time through traffic. And, I mean, impressive by John. That's when one people starts going real wide, and really impressive by Rotary. We saw him way out wide trying to keep from having any contact there as they went through all the traffic. Oh, this could be what, a little gap for him. Yep, sit in right between that BMW so that you have to gap. It's just that little bit of an edge. If he gets around him and just sits right there, he's going to have to fall in behind the BMW. He can't follow him on that same move. And it cost John slip. So if John doesn't, and he can't pull over and get the GR3 for any to try to help out, so now he has to battle for a lap just to get back into the slip, or at least a set of corners for it, as we watch Superfast Bobby using the GR3 to get that little bit of extra pull, as he is just outside of the slipstream range as well to get back into that battle. Groot has come out currently leading the GR3s, but we can see that he has not pit and his tires are crying, so he will be going in anytime now. Liam, fresh set of softs, fresh quarter, so there is definitely a strat with this quarter tank of fuel, because they know that they only need a certain amount for whatever their plan is, as we've now seen a couple of people, as Piper, who has caught up to Liam but still needs a pit and tires aren't as good. So he will realistically fall back as long as nothing happens here, as Spesh also coming up on his pit window. Crips Racing has completed his pit window and gotten away from Hatterlad, so Hatterlad's going to have to try to reclose that gap up, as we have Stan Bingo bringing up the rear, a few seconds back of Hatterlad. And wow, Green has really checked out here, as he is up by 16 seconds. Which is very nice racing. So now he really just head down, hit your marks, and just don't get caught up in any kind of traffic. As Thomas is caught up with Edwards, and he's been on a mission. We saw him at the back of the pack there for a minute. Rotary, who's been all over the place. Every time I come to you, it seems like you're either in 4th or 2nd. So currently in 4th. Next time we check on you, I'm sure you'll somehow be in 2nd, because I know you have the pace to do it, as we see him throwing out those 19s in there. Mostly pretty consistent. I think he'd probably argue that he could be more consistent with that random 20.9, but look at that, he's running real good laps, so I think he can get that gap closed down in plenty of time, and as he's closing it down by tenths on almost every corner. And it's going to come down actually a whole ton when Thomas pits, now that I realize Thomas has also got tires that are screaming. So Thomas is up there from the pit window, but it's not going to lose that much time. It was about 20 seconds, so it'll be pretty close. He'll probably be back here by Superfast Bobby, would be my guess. As we see Superfast Bobby and Original John, who I think They are still on the same strategy. Way better tires from Super Fast Bobby. And it looks like most everybody else is pretty spread out on the track. Looks like there's a couple of GR3s that are keeping it close. That's probably Liam and Piper, if I had to guess, going through the infield right now. Yeah. And so they are all actually quite packed up if you think about it with how close they are compared to the LMP1s. But the LMP1s, we're going to see some huge strategy differences as people have been coming in all sorts of differently. So a lot of the battling might be right here as these two are actually on the same strategy. It is hard to say. The fuel difference is still pretty, not that bad, but the tire difference is massive. So we'll have to see how all these strategies play out, as people who are battling right now might not actually be battling in the actual times, and they might just be using each other to keep their times looking good and consistent. If the person in front of you can run as fast a lap as you can just follow and save fuel. So Rotaries continued to pull that gap down. It was 11 seconds last time we checked, all the way down to 9, and we've got Thomas at 5 from Edwards. I do not remember if that's gone up or down. I'm assuming up, though. And Racing Green has actually lost a decent chunk of time as his fuel's in the red. His tires are in the red. Edwards, whose fuel is completely good, they've separated their strategies a little bit as well, which is probably why they have that gap, because we know Edwards has the pace. We can see the laps he's putting down right now. We know Green has the pace. We can see the laps they're putting down right now. So I think their times are similar. I think they've just separated by strategy. So Edwards probably isn't worried, and I was actually in this situation last week that Green's in, where you can actually go too calm, not realizing how hard the person behind you actually is pushing compared to the strategy difference, and then all of a sudden you're in a battle that you didn't think you were going to be in. So got to keep an eye on that, as Thomas is keeping it consistent. The gap's still going up a little bit, but we know he has the pace to catch it up, and mistakes happen. We've seen pretty much everyone have them. As Rotary's at 8 seconds with a 6 gap to him, and then what do you know, Original John and Super Fast Bobby will still be within a second of each other because they've been following each other the whole race. What a battle between them, as Liam and Piper are still keeping it close. Liam's running a little bit quicker, and Piper hasn't pit yet, so that'll disappear. Really not much to say about the leads of the GR3. Liam has been running some very nice laps. You can see he's pulled back a little bit on those times before his last pit stop, is my guess why that 152 randomly exists. So you can tell as the tires were getting worn down and everything, he wasn't quite keeping them, but he comes right out of the pits and puts down his best lap. So he's right back on pace. So not much to say about that. Consistent racing, as Cripps has been doing great. He got put under a lot of pressure by Hatterlad as Green has finally come in. We'll come back to you in just a second, Cripps. We're going to see where Green actually comes out, as he is also following, what is that, Spesh out as well. So Spesh is going to come out. He'll be at the back with a decent little gap, but that's nothing to worry about. That's just the strategy, and I lost Green. There's Green. It won't let me go on to Green. So Green is somewhere on the track right now. There it is, coming out, and so he is 5 seconds back of Thomas, who hasn't pit yet, who will be going in, and 13 back of Edwards, who's on a completely separate strategy. So your guess right now is as good as mine as to which one of them is currently how far ahead of who. I believe based on times it's really close. Edwards may have just a little bit of an advantage with a couple of 18s that I see, but you just never really know when the strategies come out. So here in about 40 minutes or so, when they come to make their last pit stop, 30 minutes or so, we will finally get to see that. And so Piper's going to come in, so we'll get to see where Piper comes out and what the actual gap to Liam is, which is looking about 11 seconds. We've seen Cripps be able to run these good laps though, so that's nothing that he can't close up by being consistent, because any one of these chicanes get missed, you can lose a second in a heartbeat. Any major mistakes can lose a lot of time here, as we actually see a gap between Original John and Super Fast, because John went ahead and went in the pits and also fueled to 75. So there is something I don't know that they do. That's why they practice. Where Super Fast is going to be coming in a few laps. He's not even red yet, so I don't think he'll be coming in yet, as Rotary's still on the hunt. He is within 2 seconds of Green, and we know Green has a pace right now to potentially be in the lead, which means Rotary is potentially 2 seconds out of the lead right now. So that's got to be exciting considering how rough we saw his race start. He's really gotten his head down, really put a drive on. And that is just absolutely fantastic as we see a big group right behind him somewhere as Stam Bingo, Groot, and Piper all seem to be grouped up into a three-way battle as well. Oop. I thought we were one ahead. I'm trying to watch the guy go through. I was trying to watch the traffic there to see if anything happened in the traffic, but it's hard to switch all the way from the GR3s to the LMP1, so we got to get a little bit more progressive and get aggressive with it so I can get on them before they get to the traffic. As we're going to watch Superfast Bobby, this is where you don't like, if you, okay, so you can just have everyone stand. If they started to battle three wide or anything like that, then that gets real dangerous, but just being able to go on like that and move on, as we see all three is Piper going to make the move? No, he thinks better of it. That makes sense. There's a lot of racing left. Oh, Groot. Piper is right in there with it, too. It's tough. You can see everyone battling that dirty air behind them as they're all going off in different oversteers and understeers and everything, trying to battle through it. Oh, is he going to go defensive? Stam Bingo does go defensive. This is going to be helpful for Piper there, so he can close up that gap even more. And now he's right up in there as well. I mean, you got to just sit there if you're Piper and wait for, if there's any mistake at the lead part, you can be the one who gets optimistic, gets aggressive with it and actually takes the apex first, and then you can actually get a little 2-for-1 action going. Ooh. I can't, it looks like he wants to try to go ahead and get on by someone. He's definitely seems like he's putting his nose in places. Oh, he's going to go for the outside move on Groot. That's a tough corner, but if you can get the stick, you'll have the inside for the important one. Oh, and he does. Oh, and they're side-by-side Groot. Oh, a little contact pushing Groot wide. Groot does not want to give it up as we see Thomas coming up on this battle, and that is not the kind of battle you want to come up on if you're Thomas, because this is where they're going three wide. And he moves on through cleanly, but I'm sure he wished that would have been a little bit easier as we see Piper get on up through, and he's going to get by both of them. Stam Bingo does not want to give it up, though. He's going to keep him down there and keep the pressure up, and we see Groot also looking for anywhere he can maybe get. This is the worst sometimes is when you're in Groot's position, because you're trying to guess who's got the better line, who's got the better grip, like who do I need to follow, like who. Oh, that is going to cost a little bit of time, and Stam Bingo might get a run out of it. No, Piper's able to keep it all under control. Oh, you do not want to be where Superfast Bobby is right now. This is, and Original John there. Ooh, that is real close. They're having to use all of the track and then a little bit more to make these passes work, and that's probably going to gap it a little bit more, because even though John had to lift a little bit because it got brought down on a little bit, it really was better for him. Superfast Bobby had to go way wide to keep from making contact with anyone. And we see he started to gap him as he got a whole better entrance into this section. And he's been able to have a way better flow as Superfast Bobby's had to kind of like re-get his composure done as he had to dodge the triple wide. As we're going to see how they are doing now. Are they all still battling and separating it out? A little bit of separation as they had the traffic come through. That's just to be expected. Let's see if Piper can close it back up to Groot as Groot has retaken the lead. Hatterlad getting low on fuel has moved up into a third position as we see Crips Racing moved currently into second position, and Liam still with a quite comfortable lead. And it's a great place to be because a lot of people don't know where they are in relation to their strategy and where other people are. You're trying to keep track of them and you think you know where they are. When you start first and you stay in first after having, pit or anything else, you just know where you are. You know where no one else can possibly be. Like they can't have done this yet because you still have to pass me at some point to be ahead of me. So he knows the absolute closest anyone is to him right now is Crips Racing, and that's 12 seconds back. And we look at Crips Racing and yeah, they have similar fuel, similar tires. It's probably about accurate. He's got about a 12-second lead as Hatterlad's not done chasing him down either. Hatterlad wants to get in this battle as well. Groot and Piper still battling as Piper's going to once again, he loves these outside moves to get the switchback. He does this a lot. I don't hate it at all. Can't quite get it to work there as Groot pushes that braking a little bit later than him and then goes very defensive into that line, it looked like. Piper wants to try to get that inside. Yeah, can't let him have it. He's going to try to get the outside. Can't let him have that. Sit down on the apex. Fantastic. He has nowhere to go. Oh, he gave him the inside just enough for him to get the car in there. Fantastic. I mean, that's just watching and watching. Oh, Piper's pushing it really hard. Oh, nice driving from Groot. What a catch from Piper. He still has speed. How is that a thing? He was completely sideways and kicking up dirt. And he is still battling for this position. And if you're in Stambingo's position, like, you're just like waiting for this to break off and then you can just go on by, because it is going to be tough to keep this level of distance between the cars for 51 minutes, but they have complete confidence that they can keep it side by side, as it doesn't look like any other traffic is majorly happening right now. It looks like this is the major battle. There's a little bit going through the infield right now that we'll look at in just a second, and then we'll check where everybody is here in about a minute to go through the standings at, oh, that's not halfway. I can't do math in about 6 minutes to see where everyone's at the halfway mark. But it looks like that is just about it. Is we've got Original John and Superfast Bobby still relatively close, but a little bit of traffic in their way. But it looks like right here, this battle is about the closest one we've got going right now, as most people have such different strategies, especially in the LMP1s, with their different fuels and tires, that we'll have to wait and see where everybody quite comes out here. Hatterlad, which has completed his pit stop, falls back, and I don't know if he wanted to fall back in a spot where he just runs right into people immediately, or if he would like to have had a little bit more time out on the track without traffic to just kind of run some hot laps. We'll see. I know BMW is one of my favorite cars in this game. It's a little difficult to drive, but I mean, I usually have a lot of fun with them early in the stint. It seems like it comes up to the temperature pretty good, but we kind of got to see the real benefit as we watch the LMP1s come through of it, is that it can last quite a while. It is an endurance car. You know, you see the BMWs in the endurance series and stuff like that. It's not too, Stambingo is really not going to lift no matter what there. Really trying to push that car as Hatterlad's up and through his alternate lines. Stambingo gets back into the slip, it looks like, as he is looking for anything, but we've seen Hatterlad putting down some real good pace. We'll see if Stambingo can come back at him, as Groot and Piper are still battling. But Hatterlad can put his head down and start trying to catch up to Groot now, as Groot is going to try to get by Piper. Cripson Liam has lost about another second to him, so he's probably aware of that, but that's nothing to be too worried about. That's relatively consistent. As we're going to jump back on with the LMP1s for a little bit, as we have Scold leading the race. Green has worked his way back up, as when he came out he wasn't third, but I think that was from a pit, so he's probably still trying to figure out where he is in relation to Scold as we speak. I know that it can be difficult when you're like leading, and you come out and you're behind someone, because if you come out leading, you know you're in the lead because they haven't passed you yet. But if they pass you, now all of a sudden, you know, he knows this strap better, so he probably knows better than I do where he is, but I would notice that I want to make that gap come down, because I might be behind by 3 seconds. I might be behind by 2 seconds. Like, that 11-second lead I might not be close enough, as we see Edwards just head down in the lead right now. Getting quarter of a tank versus Green's 3/4 of a tank. So I would say Green is probably sitting pretty. He's probably not too upset with where he is. He's probably more upset with trying to get by all this traffic. We see a huge spin. What a save, Groot. Oh, that is a tough place to catch up to traffic right there, and I'm sure when Rotary sees that gap start to close down right there, he's going to be super happy about whatever happened up in the field, as we continue to watch Green try to knife through this traffic that Rotary's going to be coming up on in just a minute. So that is going to be exciting to watch, as well as he comes up on traffic, as we start to see the strategies are starting to play a difference. Superfast Bobby, Original John are still very close to each other. So I'm pretty sure their strategies are relatively close, and this is probably about the gap that they're battling for right now, is Original John has really kind of got his head down and put his focus in. They were battling door to door for about 17, 18 laps early on, but after they've gotten out of their first pit window and really gotten to put some times down, we've really gotten to see John separate a little bit here from Superfast Bobby. As we see him go through the infield, not a perfect line I don't think he would say there, as he's trying to get on the accelerator super early. That was really good looking through there, so maybe he did get a good entry into that first corner. As he's on a completely fast lap, keeping the distance about the same right here as he's trying to close up Thomas. They're on similar strategies, so they're probably on one more pit window, two more pit windows to go. And then Rotary's just been on a mission. We saw him fall back early. I believe he may have fallen all the way back into last place, if I recall correctly. Last or second to last in the field. And he has just since then been just knifing and just magically working through the field to get back up into a podium position right now. And his fuel relative to everyone else, well, Edwards is actually coming around the end of his, but his fuel relative to Green is maybe only 15-20% different there. So he's not sitting in a terrible position if he has enough to make his strategy work in relative to the lead, let alone a podium position. And Thomas has had a fantastic battle coming back through this field, as we saw a lot of the LMP1s have a lot of difficulty in the early going of this race. But he's made his way back to the field and gotten himself into a comfortable spot, and he's still got half a tank of fuel sitting in fourth, so he's probably pretty happy with that as we continue to watch Original John keep the gap about the same between him and Superfast Bobby, as well as we also see Superfast Bobby catching up on traffic as he gets right by. Not too difficult there. The GR3 looked like he moved a little bit out of the way, but no worries as he just goes ahead and squeezes through. And that's kind of what I was talking about. When you're in those LMP1s, you really want the GR3 to be predictable, because if they should come across the track from right to left and they randomly don't for no reason, then you get in that do-si-do of who goes left, who goes right, who goes left, and you just do that until you slam into someone. Like that, no one ever guesses left, right, right. That is always wrong. There is always incidents with the left, right. Superfast Bobby, fantastic. Another lap down. It's a good lap, and he keeps the gap exactly the same because John is also running good laps. Thomas running even better laps almost. We've got Rotary's laps being very consistent, but Thomas is sitting pretty as well. So I bet Thomas is thinking he's got a good shot at the podium right here as well. Compared to Green, he's probably thinking he's got a good shot for like on the podium, even the win possibly still as we compare times. And so now that we've reached the halfway mark, we've got Skold or Edwards here leading the race. As we see, he started up near the top, ended up getting overtaken by Green, but he has worked his way back in as we see him coming around flashing red. Green is most likely going to re-overtake him once the pit stops happen, but he has set that gap pretty decent. It hasn't come down any. Followed by Green in second, as we just spoke, who will probably be taking over the lead once this next pit window comes along. Followed by Rotary. Fantastic race so far from him. Thomas, who's putting down nothing but great laps. John T, who's been battling amazingly with Superfast Bobby as he comes into some traffic. And then in sixth place is Superfast Bobby. Apologies, I didn't say the number, but you can see him next. So first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. And then starting in first in the LMPs is Liam getting chased down a little bit by Rotary, but that's nothing too crazy. They just go on by. So leading the GR3s is Liam. Currently second is Hatterlad with a quarter of a tank left as he's been battling with Piper, as he also has a little LMP1 traffic, which very nice there. Original John getting two done so you don't have to like separate them, and you also don't have to deal with one in one corner and one in another corner. So that was third place for Piper, currently followed within 2 seconds, just under 3 seconds actually, is Groot, who has really haven't seen him race before, but has been showing fantastic showing so far. Everyone who comes around him, he battles cleanly, fairly, and very hard. I love watching it. Followed in first, second, third, fourth, fifth is Trips Racing, who's had a couple of incidents. He's currently in fifth out of the pit stop window, not out of anything else specifically right now. I think he knows that he has a chance to move up a little bit as these pit windows come around, as he still has 3/4 of a tank of fuel, as he just finished his first out lap with that 31.6, or his first main lap. Followed then by sixth place is Stam Bingo, who has had a quite fantastic race. He's been running really consistently, battling everybody, but a little bit of separation with a little inconsistencies and just the fact that his pit windows are set up differently. And then currently last place is Spesh. We can see he had a little bit less inconsistency, but you know, the track's a really tough track. What is he in, the Viper there? That's a tough car. I have trouble with that. So, you know, he's still got plenty of time to battle through as we start to see the GR3's coming in as Liam came in, filled to 88%, and is going to come out of this pit window with a 3.5, just a little over 3-second lead on Hatterlad. And when you just look at the fuel differences and the tire differences here, like, Liam has got to be feeling like he's in a big position. Like, he has the chance to just take it and run with it. Hatterlad's still not in a bad spot, though. He knows, yeah, Groot, who's on a similar strat, has got him lapped right now if he goes into the pits. But he's got to think he's got a decent chance to be with Cripps Racing when he comes out of the pits. So he definitely knows he's battling second, third, fourth right in that battle. As Rotary comes in, he's still got a quarter tank of fuel. Still got those soft tires. And we see Racing Green complete his pits, or Scold complete his pit stop and get his fuel top back up again, which puts Racing Green in the lead. But like we were talking about 30 minutes ago, that gap is coming down. You know, where it was 16, 17 seconds, the different strategies they've been running, and the fact that he's kind of not been running quite as fast at times as Edward Scold behind him has been running. That means that, you know, they've made up about 8 seconds over the past 40 minutes or so, with about an 8-second gap and 40 seconds to go again. So he probably should know that he needs to either try to push a little harder if he wasn't giving it his all that those first set of stints, now that he kind of gets to see a reset of what everything looks like for a little bit. But when he finally goes in, it's going to relap again, and I think he probably wanted that gap right there to be a little bit higher and definitely not coming down right here. So it's going to come down because of the tire difference, but the fuel difference should give him a little bit to battle back with. As we watch Rotary and Thomas side by side, Rotary, having just come out of the pits, is actually battling for position here, considering Thomas still has to pit. So if he can get by him, that pretty much would put Thomas in his rearview mirror outside of strategies right now. So he probably wants to get him taken care of. I don't know if he wants to sit in the slipstream of him and let him, kind of keep up magically with him, or if anything else was to happen. Real John in the middle of his stint, just kind of sitting there, running nice laps. I mean, sitting very consistent on his lap time. So that's what you need when you're not with anyone, but you know your strategy is sound. You've just got to stay consistent and know that when we all come out at the very end, we're going to be close again. It might not be right now, but people are going to group up to me unless they messed up. And if they messed up, I'll come out ahead of them. And we got Superfast Bobby also trying to keep consistent laps. We don't know what happened at 37. If that means he pit, it's pretty fine, one bad lap. But if it's any kind of like higher lap time, then he's definitely dropped back, because we definitely see the gap between him and John a little bit higher. And then, yeah, the gap there always tricks me for a second. Then you remember the fuel difference here, and it's like Liam just has a very nice gap. He's going to be next closest person is Cripps Racing, battling side by side with Groot again, and this is not going to help him catch up to Liam. But he may have already assumed that they already need Liam to make a huge mistake. That gap might be too much, so it might be a battle for second for him. So he might just absolutely be fine battling with Groot and saying, like, well, we're battling for second because first is long gone without someone killing him for us. As we start to see Racing Green catching up as well, you could just barely catch him in the background, and that is not where you want to catch him. You do not want to be running into anyone battling coming through the infield. As we'll go on board with him, as he's going to have to work his way through the infield. So it's going to be interesting to see if he just goes for it or tries to get outside. They kind of leave the apex open there for him. We'll see if Crip does the same thing, or if he actually slows him up and keeps his lines. Now that that's open, he's probably going to go around the outside. Very clean, very nicely done, and didn't slow anyone down. Very nice. And so it doesn't even cost him any time. It looked like maybe someone either, like Groot may have missed a brake spot there, which ran him wide, or Groot may have seen him in his rearview mirror and just kind of left that apex open there. If he left it open there, I don't highly recommend it, because that definitely gave a gap back to Cripps, because he did not do the same thing. He held his line and made him go around the non-racing line way. But, you know, if not, fair play. If you want to move off the line and let him in, you know, it's only your times. As we see Hatterlad coming in for his pit, so we'll get to see more likely where he's actually going to come out at when he comes out of the pits. We're not going to sit on him, but we'll come back to him. As we'll see, he's falling back behind Groot, as he's probably starting to come out right. Yep, we see him coming out of the pits. So he'll be back behind Groot, so a little bit of work to do for Hatterlad, but he should be out ahead of Piper and Stambingo, who are still relatively in a battle with each other. But yep, there is a decent little gap right there. As we see all sorts of side-by-side. Oh, this is Racing Green still catching people in that infield. That is tough. As Liam looked like he wanted to go on the racing line, but Green kind of made the move to the outside, so we saw him dive on the inside. He's probably not happy. That probably cost him a little bit of time. but you can't just move out there and hit the car just because you're supposed to be allowed to go there. That would cost you your race, and there's way too big a gap right now to just be like running into cars for no reason. So, fair play, nice move, smart driving. If the person's going to even act like they're going to take it away from you, we get battling through a little bit of traffic here. We're going to get on board with the actual LMP1s, as we'll watch it from Thomas's view since he's following. They get through cleanly. You really hope that they're going to get through both of them before the straight. I think, yeah, they'll definitely be close enough here to get through. So that won't be too exciting going down the straight unless anything crazy happens with, I believe that's Spesh, maybe? Yeah. And they get through cleanly. As Thomas has still been on a mission. He is right on Rotary. Fuels are way different, so strategy is different, but he's definitely not backing out at all. He's definitely battling for these positions. I don't know if he's going to quite have the tires to keep up for too long, but if you can get him down the slip here, like if you can just maintain the slip, that can be super helpful. As we saw that BMW just in the distance, they're going to catch up on him in a really fast section. As Rotary is, and like Rotary can find a way to use the BMW to slow down Thomas. Nope, Thomas needs to follow, and he does. Very nice driving. And they get through that traffic nice and cleanly, so we get to see them battle without having to worry about any other cars being used. As we see Thomas in that nice PlayStation library, I just noticed that looks very clean. As pretty much the entire field right now is coming through the infield somewhere outside of a handful of cars. You see a little bit of a battle right here, but it's not so much a battle as just watching John work with the traffic as he stays to the inside. Delays that acceleration a lot. It costs a little bit of time, but it's nice and clean. Didn't slow down the GR3 at all, so fair play. Thomas and Rotary make their way right past Groot. Thomas is able to keep slip for another lap, but those pretty burnt tires, it might be the weight of his car that's helping out. The battery, probably not. They both have plenty of battery. Yeah, so it's probably, he has a little bit less weight in the tires. Let's see what he does coming up on this. Is the traffic going to come high on him? It is, so he goes down low. It's a little bit of a gap having to come off your line like that. But once again, he's maintaining that slipstream, so even if he isn't racing Rotary, if he doesn't think he can catch him by the end of the race, which he absolutely can, being able to maintain any kind of slipstream is going to help you with the people you're racing behind you, the original John, super fast Bobby, if anybody else makes mistakes in front of you. So very impressive with how much different these tires are, that he's able to keep this aggressively up on there. As we see original John catching up again, it's tough. You don't want to be in these high downforce cars catching up in the low or these high speed corners. Those GR3s need a lot of track to carry speed through these corners, and you just can't be anywhere on it with them, so it gets real tough. But he does a great job of just finding the angle, getting his car by where he can lose the least amount of time possible. And back on board here with Rotary and Thomas's battle. Thomas is finally starting to fall out of that slipstream range. He did get a better exit, it looks like, because that shouldn't be any slipstream yet, as we see that gap starting to climb and then go back down. But the gap is starting to get there, so Thomas is going to have to push a little if he wants to keep using any slip. But those very burnt tires are going to be real difficult to push on through these real fast corners around Interlagos. So I don't know if he's going to be able to keep it up as we see that gap really start to go high through the chicane, as that is probably the end of his slipstream train unless traffic slows down. Woo, Rotary's going quite wide around. That will close that gap right back up. Very nice. Thomas just staying nice and smooth, keeping consistent. That's tough. I can't do that a lot of times when you're running with traffic and everything else. Just seeing that gap get bigger and bigger and knowing that you're probably not on the same tires and that was the best of the slip, and then just staying in there, staying focused and getting that grip so that you can catch right back up in there. Seeing the gap is 13 seconds for John. They're on the same pit strategy, so he's going to have a little bit of work to do. But he does have a gap on Super Fast Bobby that is pretty nice for a pit, so he should still have a right at a lead, really close to Super Fast Bobby. It'll be really close to Super Fast Bobby. We know that for sure. Let's go ahead and check out the GR3 field for a little bit and see how Liam is doing, leading the race. Gap has stayed pretty consistent. Cripps into second, sitting in a real good spot. Probably feeling pretty good about where he is right now in comparison to everyone else, as we see him and Hatterlad, very similar strats. Hatterlad does have those nice tires, and we do know with that Beamer coming in late, if he can bring it in, his tires are probably going to look better than any Porsche that he's racing against. So he will have the ability to fight, but you got to close that gap up first, as Piper's done a fantastic job getting back in this, as he's only 6 seconds back of Hatterlad, so that's putting him in 4th place after he fell all the way back, getting a decent gap on Groot. But I think Groot is pretty close to his final stint. Ooh, as we see Scold and Greens coming through right on each other. Green is probably not super ecstatic about having Scold with half fuel right on him. That is an impressive drive. He had a gap of, what was it, 16 seconds at one stint, and it came out of the next one. It was down to about, I think it was 8 seconds, and now coming in at the end of this stint, it has already been closed down to 0. Now, we do know that Scold has also got another stint as he looks to the inside. Oh, it was very close. He wants it now. He knows he needs to get by him. He knows he still needs more time. He knows he's got another pit stop, so he needs to get by him and start putting him in his rearview mirror, because this is not actually for the battle. He thinks he needs more time for sure. You would not race this aggressive with 30 minutes left if you thought this was just for the lead. He knows he needs more time right now because he's on a complete different strat, and he knows that Green's going to be going in, so Green needs to be defensive and taking any time he can, because once he goes in the pit, he can't defend anymore. So if he can keep him behind until he pits, that is a huge win for Green. And if you're in Rotary's position, that time looks big, but we know it's going to close up here in a little bit for sure if he doesn't have to pit. He's on the same pit strategy as Scold, so it's a pretty long gap. That's a pretty long gap back to third, but he does have a decent little gap to Thomas being a second, and Thomas is going to probably be pitting here. So his real gap is probably to the original John. So Rotary's probably chilling in a real good spot. And fantastic racing from Green. He kept him back. He didn't go in the pits until that lap, and we watched that lap where he was defending everywhere. So now that you're in Scold's position, you've really got to put your head down. You've got traffic coming up that needs to not bother you. Hopefully you don't catch it on the corner, but it looks like he's probably going to catch it on the corner. So just try not to make it slow you down. Definitely don't hit it as they go real wide. That got real close there. And then just know that this is hot lap challenge now. Like, you got in front of him, now you need to make that gap because you're coming in again. And if my guesstimate is right, Green will not be coming in again. And I did not know they come out of the pit with an empty battery. That is or is that his battery burned? I would assume the pits would recharge your battery, but I do not know that well, as everyone else seems to have full battery except for Green somehow. That's interesting. Maybe just a visual bug on my side. I know there's times where I see different stuff than you would see, so he could be seeing a full battery right now. As we see the original John in the pit, so we'll see where he comes out, because this will be pretty relative to where his distances are, as Super Fast Bobby's at a half tank, so he will be pitting again for sure. But yeah, original John thinks about 3/4 of a tank just over will take him that 28 minutes that he needs, with a 12-second gap to Thomas, who will not be pitting again. He would need to be able to rev out to make it all the way there. So if he is trying to gain a position, get into that 4th position, then he thinks 75 is exactly how much fuel he needs to go full out. If not, he's just gone full defensive and tried to save a little time in pits against Super Fast Bobby, as, like always, they are right on each other. And we see the gap from Liam going up. He's moved it up to 15 seconds with, oh, I thought that was a GR3 behind him, as he's got a little traffic. Original John coming through. Cripps Racing will also be going in the pit, so that Gap, I mean, they got about the same strategies. They'll both be going in the pit, so the gap's going to remain about the same there. Hatterlad also coming in the pit. As we see the GR3's fuel starting to get similar, so they're all going to have to stop, looks like, one more time. As Piper might be the first one to come in, and Groot, actually, that's right, we watched his pit. He came in with the undercut strategy, so he should be the first one in, so he'll be the one we get to see where he comes out when everybody else finally comes in. Stan Bingo probably can't go 30 minutes on that much fuel unless he is full on fuel saving, and same with Spesh back here unless they are full on fuel saving. But let's jump up here and watch these gaps. What kind of gaps do we have? Thomas sitting pretty in fourth, but waiting for a pit stop, so those will still close up. Original Johns is on the same strat. Piper is in the pit, so that'll be interesting to see where he comes out, because that'll be a final stop for him. Hatterlad wants to see that time go up, 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 because he's going to have to stop again against them. Cripps is going to have to stop again for sure, so he would like to see the times going up, up, up. And then Liam also. So we're going to really get to see one more stop from these GR3s, and then they're going to be on their final stint. The LMP1 should be coming in, for those who didn't hear. It's tough with the LMP1s. I guess they're going to be coming in about, like, would you really come in at 10 minutes? Why would we split into two small stints and run on the lowest fuel possible? Like, I would expect because if they didn't come in at the 40-minute mark, and they can't make it all the way, and they came in around the 40 minutes, they should be coming in at about the 20. There's no reason to bring it all the way down to the 10. You might as well just run two low fuel stints, because that's the fastest way to make your car. So we'll have to see if any of them are thinking about coming in here in the next 3 or 4 laps, even though some of them clearly have enough fuel to go quite a bit more than that. I just don't know that a quarter tank is enough to go 25 minutes on a lot of these cars. I'm going to assume a lot of those ones with only a quarter of a tank left are going to pit. John keeping it clean through the back markers, or the traffic. They're not really back markers, they're just completely different race class. Oh, little wide there. It's going to shave a little bit of time, but early on the throttle and looking very quick through there. And I'm sure his main concern is just getting by cleanly, not so much whether he takes the apex 2 seconds late, as he's really in a battle with Superfast Bobby. If Superfast Bobby cannot make that fuel work, then that's going to be problematic. But as long as he's got that fuel to work, he should be good. Because let's look at these GR3s. We know they usually like to battle. We got about a 2-second gap between Cripps and Hatterlad on similar strats, although Hatterlad will probably be pitting first. Piper has already pit, so they are looking for the gap distance. A little over 20 seconds usually for a pit. Keep it clean, Thomas. Let's see that gap. Very nice. Catching them on straights always feels good. But we are starting to see this group that has pit already. I'm not sure if Stan Bingo is 100% there. He might be trying to fuel save, but they're starting to already come together. So it's going to really depend where Hatterlad comes out when he completes his final pit. And we know that he's probably roughly going to come out 3 seconds behind Cripps. So if those all come out together, we're going to see a battle for second that goes from second place to third to fourth to fifth. Yeah, so between second and fifth are looking very racy. Like, they might all come together right here after this final pit stop. I am not convinced Stan Bingo can make it with 24 minutes and is still in the battle. But if he can, without having to, like, massively fuel save, then all the way down into 6th place is still battling for second here after an hour and a half. So everyone needs to go as hard as they can, because Hatterlad is the second to last person who's going to probably be coming in for a pit stop other than Liam. But Liam has a huge gap. So Liam still has a stop as well, but we know that even with that stop, he still maintains his gap. Everybody else's gaps may or may not maintain through these stops. The LMP1s are in a weird spot where there's a few of them. Thomas can definitely make it. I'm pretty sure everyone over half fuel, but I'm curious if, like, they all can make it, because they're so different. If they all can make it, the gaps are pretty worrisome. But we've got a couple who are pretty low. Like, okay, they do need to come in, and they're going to split it into 2 small stints, because they came in, like, in the 40s. So, perfect. So, all these people on the quarter tanks of fuel. So, not Green. Green is racing for position right now on Skull's pit stop. Green won't have to come in again. Rotary is going to have to come in again, so that's going to fall back. Thomas does not have to come in again, so him and Rotary are going to close a pit gap. John does not have to, so he's going to close on Rotary with pit gap, but his time is live to Thomas. And Superfast Bobby's in between everybody, so who knows if he can go 22 minutes or not. I think he thinks he can. And if he can, then he's right in the battle as well. If he needs another pit, then yeah, I think that might just be your strategy. Just fell you a little bit short there because his pace has been there. So, you know, he's only 4 seconds back, and that's probably a real 4 seconds unless he needs another pit. As we see Cripps come in, so that's the end of it. This will be deciding to actually what these gaps are for the final race when he comes out. As we see the Groot, Stam Bingo got by Groot, very nice, and Piper Groot coming around. And out of the pits is going to come Cripps. So I think Cripps is going to hold a decent lead on them, but Hatterlad is going to be real close to being ahead of them. They're going to come out side by side. Hatterlad's going to have the speed, though. If he can get a little bit of slip here, I don't think Cripps is going to be able to defend into this first corner. We'll see. Can he get up to speed? Oh, he does get up to speed in time. Hatterlad is right there, though, and they are no longer stopping, so they are now officially racing on the track. Everyone else behind them, we've got Hatterlad and then Piper. Piper has a real 8-second gap, but 2 seconds on Stam Bingo if he can make it. If not, he falls out. And Groot is about 4 seconds back of Piper, so still racing for that position. But right here, Cripps and Hatterlad are battling for that second position. They are comfortable on the podium, but when you battle, you can lose a lot of time easy. So the real question is, how long are they going to wait to battle? Is Hatterlad going to like try to keep the pace and just follow in? Is he going to try to get in front of him? We've still got traffic catching up. As we can see behind him is going to be, I believe, can't quite see the car. It's going to be Superfast Bobby, isn't it? As he's working his way through them. And, ooh, trying to get it as late as possible. Didn't quite know which way anyone was going to go there, I think, as he falls back in. His original John maintains the 6-second gap. Rotary has damage. What happened to Rotary? There was no one around, so he must have gotten into a wall. It can happen if you miss, and since of where he ended up on the track, he may have ended up getting reset. Not 100% sure what happened to Rotary there. Don't have the replay of it. Just saw the damage as he remains pulled over to the side of the road, which is going to move John into 4th. I'm sure John has no issues whatsoever with that. Superfast Bobby has also come out of the pit, so he could not make it, but he is done with his final stint, and he goes to 75 for 20 minutes. I'm curious if everyone else in the LMP1s are going to have to, or if any of them are going to have to come in again. Because he only why would you fuel to 75 for 20 minutes? Unless you can only run 75 for 20 minutes, which would mean there has to be other cars. Interesting. It may have been an overfuel. And Liam's coming in for his final stop. So just to confirm that you got a decent gap when he comes out, we will check it. I think Cripps is going to still be about 12 or 13 seconds back, though, like last time. But this will show how well Liam's second to last stint was, as we see them coming around for the straight right now, but he's probably already putting in fuel, and he's actually already out of the pits, so he is going to have about an entire straight and then some of a lead right now, so it'll be a decent gap for him. But Hatterlad is all over Cripps right here, as it randomly says Liam somehow behind everybody, but we all know that is not true. As we have got Hatterlad looking to close the gap there. Everyone's trying to keep it clean. Liam's got a decent gap. Rotary is caught up to Superfast Bobby. He's come back on the pit. My guess is there was an incident, and Superfast Bobby ended up in the pits because of it. And so he had to concede and then wait for GT Sport to let Superfast Bobby out of the pits, because it makes you do the entire animation of pitting in the pits. Makes you do the entire animation of everything. So, or not Superfast Bobby, that is Thomas. But he's behind Superfast Bobby, is why I was thinking that. So he may have conceded something like that. I am not 100% sure what happened there. May have just been user error, caught damage on a wall. Could have also just been GT Sport doing GT Sport things. But we do see up here in the front, there should be no more pitting. Edwards trying, or Scald working through the traffic, getting slowed down a little bit, so that's going to be good for Green if he can find a way through the traffic without it, because that gap is staying at about 3 seconds right now, so that is pretty much what we'd expect. Scald last week ended up with second place as he couldn't quite make the comeback work, but this week he's got that 3-second lead, and he's looking like he wants to go ahead and take the win this week. Thomas sitting in a very good third place. What a drive so far from him if he can keep it together. 17 minutes of keeping it focused, but he's got that gap on John up to 11 seconds. And John, hats off to him, same thing. He's up in fourth, and he's got his lead up to 21 seconds over an hour and 15 minutes. Fifth place is in Superfast Bobby, who is currently ahead of Rotary. With Rotary currently at the back, we're not 100% sure what happened there. He added a 2-minute lap in, so maybe he had to get up for a second. We do not know. We got Liam still currently in the lead of the GR3s, having a little bit of traffic behind him as we see one of the LMP1s barely flashing in. Cripps Racing is 15 seconds back at that, but he is under pressure for his second place as Hatterlad is within 0.7 of a second, and it looks like that may be the main battle that we're going to watch here for the last 16 minutes, as we've only got that, and yeah, that is going to be the main battle we've got close. Everyone else has a little bit of gap. Not that they can't close it down, but we will start to focus in a little bit more specifically on this battle here, as it is the only one that's currently within a second. It is a battle for position, and it is a battle for the podium. We've got Hatterlad holding on to third position in the GR3s, but he's trying to close down the gap on Cripps Racing. Now, this is going to be an area where this BMW is definitely going to do better than the Porsche. The Porsche's straight line speed usually is one of its pitfalls compared to the other cars. Now, once they start to get on the infield, that Porsche can be very quick. Going through these fast chicanes, this Porsche can be very quick, but definitely on these straights, the BMW is going to start to pull a little bit of that gap down on him. Now, the BMW is going to be a big boy, so it is hard to get through some of these fast corners, so that's why we see the gap going up through the quick corners, but he should be able to consistently bring it down coming out of the straights as long as he's getting good exits. As we see him on a best lap for Cripps Racing, so that is impressive. Cripps is on a personal best lap, and Hatterlad's gap is still staying consistent. A little big loss for there, a little bit of a loss, about 1/10 of a second coming out of this, but we're expecting to see losses in times through here. You want to try to find a way to close the gap through this, but the infield section is absolutely going to benefit the Porsche if he can continue to get it to rotate through all these corners and really get on that acceleration, because it's going to get out and in so much quicker as we see that gap. Jumping up to 1.4 seconds is going to maybe go higher. We saw Hatterlad really pushing that car to the side right there, as well as he's trying to close the gap down. Really impressed to see if he's going to be able to close the gap up any more than this. It is a little tough. Their tires are the same. His fuel is lower, though, so that should help out. The BMW does come more and more into its own as it goes through, so we should be able to see him get more comfortable with the car. The Porsche can tend to eat up its tires, but we can see here Cripps is actually doing a fantastic job of maintaining his tires, as the BMW has actually worse tire wear, but I think he's been on them a few laps longer. Yeah, about 2 laps longer it looked like, so he does have that little bit more wear, but we'll see. He's sitting at about a consistent thing. We see Stan Bingo come in. We didn't think he would quite be able to make it to the end, so he will put on a new set of tires. I believe that was lag. I don't think Piper was coming from that wide, because that looks like a pretty decent exit there. So Piper's got a decent gap between everyone. Gonna need some help up in front of him if he wants to get onto the podium. Doesn't even look like he quite has enough fuel to make it, so he's probably coming in one more time. Maybe he can fuel save it up. It does look like he is putting in... Yeah, it doesn't look like he's quite revving it out, so I think he's trying to make it in one. He's just short shifting it and kind of trying to settle for fourth, because he knows if he goes into the pit, he loses to Groot. So got to put that fuel save in and try to get 13 minutes out of that, as Groot clearly has enough fuel to make it, as he is getting caught up in traffic, as we see the original John just taking the inside and moving through nice and cleanly. Back in the lead up here in the LMP1s, we see that the gap to Thomas is 41 seconds before it goes blank there, 42. But he has got the gap relatively even with Scold right here. Fuel and tire are in Scold's favor. So it's really up here for Edwards or Scold to just kind of do his race and maintain it. And as long that's a pressure gap, right? Any big mistakes and you get closed up on for sure. Plus you've got, what is that, super fast Bobby making his way in as well. And if he somehow catches back up to you, even though you put him a lap down, that'll be someone to battle. And honestly, it's probably a better place for him. He's probably happy about that, because that means Green is going to have to lap someone who can battle him as opposed to lap someone who he just has to get by cleanly. And then we've got Thomas, quite a bit back from second, but a fantastic race, honestly, to get up under the podium. The original John, again, fantastic consistency to get himself into a nice position. Super fast Bobby, we've seen him just a minute ago as he's coming through, and then Rotary also back on the track. I guess he's been on the track, pulling up the back, but with a decent gap over there. Super fast Bobby's getting to step away for a minute or something. Hatterlad and Thomas trying to find a way by, but Hatterlad has kept the gap the same, but that's not necessarily what he's wanting to see. And now he's really probably hoping that Thomas can do anything possible to slow down Cripps Racing, because otherwise the gap's kind of continuing to grow. He should be able to still bring it in, but it's just not where you want to be. You want to start bringing that gap in. You want to start applying pressure. You're looking at a minute 31 the lap with, you know, just under 12 minutes. So the laps are starting to finally get low. You do want to start trying to close gaps up. And if you've got someone in front of you, you do need to start looking for some pressure. So I'm sure he's not super happy that he lost more time out of that exchange than Cripps did. But now that they're starting to come down the straight, we see the times come down. So it's really about trying to make sure you don't lose too much through these infield sections when you're in that BMW. Because it can handle those infields, but it's just not quite as good as that Porsche is. But he is keeping it right there at that 1.5 second gap, and that's just like any mistakes, and that's gone. Groot with a comfortable gap from everywhere, so he looks like he's got 4th place just about locked up. Piper, 5th place, is turning into not quite a battle. He's got a decent little group, but he is not too far back on Groot, so I apologize, Groot. You're probably going to have to battle a little bit for 4th. Piper's going to have way fresher tires. Fuel's not that different, so, and if Groot has to come in again, which I don't think he does, right? Then he should be fine. It's just going to be a battle of tires. Been there. Oh, it is hard when you have the worst tires and they can just hold more grip than you. It seems like they can just attack you anywhere they want to. Looks like the LMP ones are mostly getting through. You know, last week we got to see quite a bit of hairy situations with the LMP ones and the GR3s. This week we got to see a little bit of hairiness there in the very beginning of the race. But once everyone fell into single file and started getting their times down, everyone kind of fell into their own little spots, and we get to see the little battles between everybody. But it looks like we're probably going to see Cripps and Hatterlad battling for position, seeing if Hatterlad can close it out. Every other gap's got a pretty decent one. So we'll go through the final order one last time to see what kind of battles we may end up with. We've got Skolden first with plenty of fuel to finish. 13-second gap currently, so he's actually gapped it out a little bit further. Green, pushing hard, is currently stuck in traffic. Seems to also have enough fuel to be able to push the race, based on the fact that he went in the pits last. I'd assume he filled up all the way, or I mean, to enough to finish. Currently in second. 3rd place is Thomas, who we see coming around on the start-finish line with a decent gap between 2nd and him, but 4th place could be pushing him over there is John, who we also see getting ready to come around onto the start-finish line. So John has really been on a mission to try to close this gap up some. Down to 7 seconds with 8 minutes remaining. It would be very impressive to close that much time, but what a race either ways. 5th place, we've got Super Fast Bobby, and 6th place is Rotary. Coming in first in our GR3s, we've got Liam, who has a very healthy gap to Cripps Racing, who does not have a healthy gap to Hatterlad in 3rd. 4th is currently Groot. Groot has moved up to 4th, but Piper, who has those fresher tires and less fuel, is already closed that gap down to 1.3. So you know he wants that 4th position back, because he is not wanting to be in 5th. Currently 6th is Stam Bingo, as he's gotten his consistency going. He's gotten his fuel set up. His tires are good to go. So he's hoping anyone battling makes mistakes. And currently 7th is Spesh, as he's coming around the infield section. So it looks mostly like we're going to have a battle in the GR3s, as most of the LMP1s have gotten themselves separated out. And those battles are going to be for second place, which as Hatterfield has started to bring that gap down, that BMW starts to feel good as the fuel comes down and starts to get a little bit of heat in those tires. As he's got that all the way down to 1.2 seconds. And then the other battle is going to be for 4th and 5th between Piper and Groot. So it looks like the GR3s are going to take it all the way down to an hour and 30 minutes to figure out who wins this race. Or not who wins this race, the positioning of this race. Who wins it'll just be up to Liam keeping it nice and clean for another 7 minutes. But he has a big enough gap that he can be pretty casual around some of these difficult corners. Cripps Racing, on the other hand, does not get the luxury of being casual through any of these difficult corners. He has to try to keep it flat out because we've got Hatterfield dealing with traffic, trying to close that gap down. And it seems like you got to feel for Hatterlad. I think I just called him Hatterfield. You got to feel for Hatterlad. He keeps getting traffic where he doesn't have the apex, which I didn't catch it quite enough to see if he had the right to dive it down or if he'd already gotten in his braking zone. But they're passing Cripps without any issues on straights, and every time Hatterlad's having to deal with them on the apex. So that's costing him time every time. So every time he closes this gap down to a second, another LMP comes in and just slows it down. As we see Racing Green coming in, finally catching someone on the straight. And then hoping, I'm sure Hatterlad is hoping that we can see Green slow down Cripps Racing, as Cripps Racing is currently not going to get slowed down at all by him. Way to go. Just hold it on the inside, let him go around the outside, and just try to keep defending. As you know, the heart starts racing. You see 6 minutes, that time gap just kind of comes down and down. You just got to keep it clean and find your brake marks. Groot and Piper are battling side by side, though. Is Piper going to be able to make it stick up the outside? It's a tough one to do. Oh, huge contact it looks like. Piper gets it together though and gets right back in there. There's a little bit of a shove. Let's see what Piper does in response. Just kind of keeping it nice and tight against him. Alright, gap's still the same in front of us, so we'll stay here as we watch Piper. We'll see what he can do. Little bit wide. Trying to get on that accelerator. I mean, 0.5 of a second. You just got to keep this area clean. It doesn't even matter too much because you're just straight battling for position here. You just got to keep a gap nice so that you can get a good run on the start-finish, which it looks like is what we're going to get. Let's see if he can get that late undercut coming out of this corner. He should be able to try to get the left side of the track so that he has the inside. Oh, that is a really good exit from Groot, though. Groot was full out through that, so... And the slipstream is Groot going to go defensive and try to keep it. Groot goes way defensive. Hey, smart. That's fair play. You get the line. Stick to it. Is Piper going to try to pin him? He's going to try to get on the outside. Groot kept it to the inside. Oh, Piper late on those brakes. You saw those light up way after Groot's, and it works a little bit of contact. Groot did not give much room on that inside. Ooh. Less fair play, but Piper's still here. He's still trying to hunt it down. Let's see if Hatterlad has closed that gap, if any 1.9. Nope, we're coming back here. According to the minimap, it doesn't look like... Oh, someone is sideways, and I would love to check and see who that is, but... It is... Is that Green? No. That was Superfast Bobby, I think. Oh, all over him, trying to get a different line set up. He's going to try to get on the accelerator really early as we see him sliding that Porsche around in front of him. As he is all over the back. Oh, is he going to try to get on the outside? Oh, he just sits it on that apex. He's once again trying to find that late undercut coming out of this. If you can get right up against him and get any kind of better run. Ooh, going defensive here. That is not a good call, I don't think. I think that might have cost you it. Oh, he clips him. Oh, if he could have got around the outside, he would have just passed him. Oh, this is a lot of aggressive blocking. Block the right or the left. Piper's running right up on him. Are you gonna keep him low? Is he gonna let him come across at all? And he's probably just gonna finish this up right there. As he moves on through, Groot keeping it close. Little contact. Oh, and here comes some LMP1 side coming through. Oh, we heard contact. Oh, more contact. This is not where you want everyone coming in together. As that was for position. I think we just saw... Was that for position? No, it wasn't. Original John moves up into... Was already in fourth. Rotary just kind of got caught up in there and was already a lap down as we see him battling back through this battle that is still ongoing with Piper. And... Oh, that gap just got huge. Hatterlad had a little incident, but we'll come back to that later. We got to watch Piper try to get this gap back down. He has been aggressively defended against for a solid 4 or 5 minutes now. He's trying to get his car up on the inside. He does get his car up on the inside. He puts him in the put him in his rear view. Is he going to be able to keep him back there, or is Groot going to be able to battle back is the real question as we watch Groot trying to get his composure back together. We're looking at 2 laps to go for the GR3s. I don't believe that the LMP1s are going to quite get 3, though. No. So it looks like 2 more laps for everyone as we jump back on with Groot and Piper. As Piper's starting to get that gap going. He separated the slipstream as... Oh, Stambingo is also in here battling, trying to unlap himself, and does so aggressively as well. But Stambingo has now unlapped himself, which is going to put a lot of pressure on Groot to get back through here because he needs to close the gap to Piper and not be worrying about this lapped car as he pushes him way wide and gets this thing completely sideways, which is going to lose him the position again. It's not a position, but it's going to lose the lap on the car so that he can't close the gap in... Wait, this is for position. I thought Stambingo was getting lapped. Stambingo is aggressively battling for position. That is 9 million times cooler than what I was describing. Way to go, Stambingo, getting aggressive. Groot's probably not super happy about the aggressive defending, but as Piper sees the gap start to gap up, he's probably thinking, yeah, that's what happens when you have aggressive defending. Get through it. You got to battle it. As Stambingo gaps it out a little bit, gets pushed a little, not pushed, but leaves the apex open so that the LMP1s can come through as we see Racing Green trying to close the gap up. Any LMP1 battles approaching? No, everything's still pretty huge, although Scold only has 5 seconds now. Only? I think that's a gain in time. Piper with a 2-second lead over Stambingo, who has gotten a 1.5-second lead over Groot. So Groot has Groot has definitely started to lose a little bit of pace as we see his I mean, his tires are crying, which it makes sense. He doesn't quite have the tires to make it there on the last line, and everyone else still has a little bit fresher tires, which meant we've all been there trying to defend that very end. Are they going to get one more lap in? Liam has started it, so yes, this should be coming up on the final lap right here that they are on. Liam, 23-second lead. 2 seconds, 6... Oh, I'm missing people randomly finishing because the time went up right as they went across. Scold actually starts a final lap. So Green is going to get a locked-in second place. That is a good feeling for Edwards right here. Getting to run a lap where it has no pressure always feels good. We see everyone coming around to try to finish this last lap as Liam is going to take the hour and 30-minute endurance race here at Interlagos. GR3 win. Congratulations. Led from beginning to end. Just put it down, head down, and go. As we see Cripps coming around the start straight. He had a very difficult start to this race. Fell way back in the field. I don't even know if I would have had the will to get my head down after all the issues he had at the start with everybody. But really just gets it put together. Comes around and claims second place. What a drive. And Hatterlad, same deal. The GR3s all had fantastic races. He's going to come around and get himself a podium. Third place after what a battle. Sorry that I missed you, Scold, coming through there as you take the win, because this was an amazing win from the LMPs as he battled all from last week to try to get there only to have it slip through his fingers to take the win in the LMP1s. Piper is going to get 4th, Stambingo 5th, Groot 6th, Spesh 7th. In the LMP1s, we've got Scold taking the win, Green with an amazing second place, Thomas with the battle for 3rd, Original John with 4th. Fast Bobby coming in 5th, and S&M Rotary bringing up the back in 6th after he had that issue about an hour through the race. What a race, guys. Absolutely fantastically fun to watch. The GR3s, which has started to become a thing, just are constantly battling. Just an hour and a half of nothing but battles. And the LMPs Just absolutely battling. Watch them go through the traffic. What a race. Congratulations to Skold. Congratulations to Liam. Thank you all for joining us for the SBR multi-class round 2 at Interlagos. I'm Jerry. It was an absolute blast to be here. Thank you for having me. Thank you for joining. We will see you next week at... I don't remember where they're at. I apologize. But we will see you next week with some fun in the multi-class. See y'all.